Hey, good evening and happy Friday. Meteorologist Zach Gilday here for this live update. It is 11:26 Friday evening, post newscasts. So if you missed the 10 p.m. news on KNWA, I'm going to go over everything that we have to know. And the headline says it all. Active pattern ahead brings severe storm potential as early as tomorrow. Now, tonight is looking quiet. Now, we might see a few showers, but no severe weather. Saturday, most of the day looks pretty good. So if you have plans, I wouldn't cancel them tomorrow. Should be a nice warm day, a bit breezy. But tomorrow night, I think that's when we could be seeing some severe weather. So this is a preliminary Facebook Live just in case we have to do coverage tomorrow night, which is a possibility. But right now it's quiet, and let me just go through what I showed during the 10 p.m. newscast. So active pattern is settling in, and we have multiple chances for storms, and some of these could definitely be severe. Right now, here is the radar. No storms, a little bit of light rain though in our eastern counties. Johnson County looks like seeing a few showers, maybe Logan County, far eastern Logan County, but most areas are dry. Earlier during the evening, I thought those showers might make it to Washington County, but I don't think that's going to happen tonight. So feel free to answer questions because this is going to be quite the updates. Here's a live Doppler radar look at those showers, just zooming right in on Johnson County to the Clarksville area. Seeing some of those showers. Here's Interstate 49. It is pretty nice evening. It is 64 degrees, so no need for the heater tonight. Maybe even want that AC on because the dew point is getting up there, back in the mid 50s. Feels a bit muggy. The wind is a little bit breezy out of the south, and the wind will keep it pretty mild tonight. Now, the icon says clear, but I still think it's probably a bit cloudy. And here's a view from Lincoln. We can't see any stars, so still we have some clouds overhead. And I do think tomorrow morning will start out quite cloudy, but by the afternoon hours, though, we should clear out nicely. Temperatures across the area, mid to upper 60s. So I see a lot of comments streaming in. We have some active weather. If you're just joining, this is a live update. It is 11:28 p.m. on Friday, about to be Saturday morning. So I'm probably going to be on here for maybe a half an hour because tomorrow it could be a long day for me. I'll probably have to get in earlier and probably have to stay pretty late tomorrow because it's looking like an overnight deal for those storms. Now, here's a future track for the overnight. So, cloud cover is in place, maybe a few stray showers. Most of that should be east of us. And daybreak tomorrow looks quite cloudy, but by early afternoon, I think we clear out and we can see those south winds pumping in the moisture into the coverage area tomorrow. Headlines. So here's what we need to know. So multiple chances for severe weather. Severe storms, the chances begin late Saturday evening into early Sunday morning. But I think Sunday is the day to watch. So Sunday morning, maybe late morning around the time you go to church, late morning, I think there will be some chances for storms. And then another round looks to move in Saturday during the late afternoon, early evening. And next week, midweek, might even feature the best chance for storms in this whole 7-day stretch, as a big system is set to move in Wednesday. of next week. But here is what we're looking at the next 2 days. Tonight, just 20% chance for that stray shower. Breaking the action tomorrow. So most of tomorrow looks pretty good. We are going to be quite dry during the afternoon hours. So from 7 a.m. all the way through the afternoon, looks quiet, looks sunny. But notice how the evening hours, these chances go up a little bit. I think just after midnight, early Sunday morning. Now, notice how there's only a 40% chance because we still have some uncertainties for tomorrow night. But Sunday afternoon, those chances, let me get me off the screen there, they're going to be going right back up to 40%. So a couple of chances for storms, and severe weather is on the table. River Valley, same deal pretty much for the timing, but I think maybe a lesser chance for tomorrow night. Now, here's a risk. This is for tomorrow. So tomorrow night, the severe threat, here's the day 2. Now, these will be updated pretty shortly. Later on tonight, the Storm Prediction Center will update these. But as of right now, we're being just barely clipped by a 2 out of 5 slight risk for severe weather. And that means that we could be seeing some scattered severe storms, mainly for Saturday nights. Here's a feature track showing 2 o'clock in the afternoon Saturday looks quiet. 6 o'clock looks quiet too. Now here's 2 o'clock in the morning. These storms look like they mean business. So here's 2 o'clock in the morning, Sunday. Coming through, quick hitter. It's just a model. Again, the models, they're kind of starting to come into alignment. I was looking at a few other things. The Texas Tech shows more widespread across Northwest Arkansas. Now, here's a graphic. So this is the max updraft helicity. So the storm spin tracks. So what this is the probability of an updraft to spin. So this is one of the things we look at for potential tornado production. And we're seeing that in Northeast Oklahoma and Kansas. Creeps into our coverage area around 3 o'clock in the morning Sunday. And those darker tracks, those could shift south because I think the models are trending a more south track of those storms. Here's late night Saturday. So I see a lot of comments coming in. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go through what we're thinking for the weekend, and then I'll go back and answer all of them if I can get to them. But here's 5 a.m. Think a break in the action around daybreak, and then maybe in the afternoon some redevelopment. So we saw what happens Saturday nights. So that SPC risk that we just saw, that goes through 6 a.m. Sunday morning. Here's a new one, the day 3. So 6 a.m. Sunday through 6 a.m. Monday. I know it's kind of confusing, but here is what we're looking at. Widespread 2 out of 5 slight risk for the Interstate 49 corridor. Our eastern counties have that enhanced level 3 risk. So what we're thinking is here, 2 rounds of storms possible late morning Sunday, and then once again late during the afternoon. Now with this one, all modes are possible. Large hail, damaging winds, tornadoes. Timing and placement of the storm system still in question because it's subtle energy aloft. I'll show you what I mean later on if you want to know. We have subtle energy aloft, and the models aren't doing a good job, they don't do a good job generally. So still a lot in question. It's going to be a wait and see type deal. So tomorrow is going to be all hands on deck. Now, this is the probabilistic risk for the day 3. The hatched area, significant hazards. So what that means, a significant hazard is pretty much tornadoes EF2 to EF5, large hail, 2-inch diameter and over, and damaging winds, I believe is hurricane force, so 74 miles per hour and greater for the winds. So we're seeing that in our eastern counties and even creeping into the central part of the forecast area. The consensus is the best chance for severe weather Sunday is late afternoon, early evening, mainly east of us. But I'll show you a model. Now, the HRRR is starting to reach tomorrow, late afternoon, early evening, and I'll show it to you right now. So here's 9 a.m. This is Sunday morning. Notice how we see a little bit of activity late morning. Here's 11 a.m., a few cells. There will be a chance for severe weather Sunday late morning, but as the atmosphere destabilizes, as a cold front overtakes the dry line late Sunday afternoon, early evening, notice how these storms fire up. Notice how they're mainly east of the coverage area. But this could change. It's just a model. Notice how these isolated cells are forming over us in our far eastern counties, maybe even training a little bit as they form along that front. That could be trouble, especially for central, northeast Arkansas, um, and even for us. If the system slows down a bit, we could be seeing these over us. So that's what we're dealing with for the weekend. It's a tough forecast tomorrow night and late Sunday morning. So there's 3 time frames. So pretty much no break Sunday. It is going to be tomorrow night, late Sunday morning, and then Sunday late afternoon, early evening. Active forecast. Now here's next week. Here's March 31st, Tuesday, April 1st, 8 p.m. We're back in southwest flow, entering an active pattern. A whole lot of energy comes in Wednesday. Look at all that Thursday. More energy still in southwest flow. That low just keeps pumping energy into the area. So I think next week looks pretty soggy. I think we have multiple chances for rain and storms, and Wednesday, severe weather. A day 6 already issued, whole forecast area. Some severe storms look possible for next Wednesday. It's a ways away, but it should be in the back of our minds. And here's a future track showing those storms over us Wednesday afternoon. Thursday, more rain and storms, and Friday, another round of rain and storms, and maybe even the weekend. Just an active forecast, just does not stop. The instability is there. It's that time of year. Here's Wednesday, Thursday. The question is, will it come back for Thursday? Looks River Valley, it might. Northwest Arkansas, maybe not, but it's just a model. And then Saturday, the weekend. So there will be instability. Okay, so that's the forecast. Here's overnights. Now I'm going to go and look at the comments now. So appreciate everybody who's asked a comment. Gravit camera update. Today was a busy day. A lot of emails, a lot of updates. Let me load up the Gravit camera and see if I have an update. Actually, I can just look over there. It's still down. We'll see. Hopefully that gets back up line soon, but it's still down. Me too, Bradley. Yeah, I'll be looking at that later on. I'm pretty interested. If I had to guess, I would think that they're going to expand the slight risk down into Northwest Arkansas, because look at the Texas Tech model. I mean, but they're just models, everybody, and they don't do a good job with this pattern. So I'll show you what I mean. So here's right now. So all right. So here's next week. So this is not subtle flow. This is energy coming in. The models will handle it, decently. Hopefully, probably not, but maybe. But right now, we're in this subtle flow, and we know the models are not going to hit this zonal flow. Let me put a pause point here. So we got the energy coming in from the offshore California. Not many weather sensors, not many weather buoys getting data. Weather balloons aren't being launched out there all day. So there's not much data to feed these models. And we got all this subtle energy coming in this zonal flow. The models do not do a good job. But I can tell you what though, we're kind of at the nose of that jet stream. And let me load up a graphic here showing you the upper level diffluence, which is kind of what we learned about in school, dynamics of the atmosphere. So it's kind of like think like a tube of toothpaste. Okay, so um, if you have the cap on the tube of toothpaste, the everything is closed, so convergence along that cap. But if you take off the cap, um, things spread apart, and that will serve as a forcing for rising motion for storm development. I'm not sure if I think it's a pretty good example. But here's Saturday. You see over, let me get I have to load it up so I can draw on it. Here's Sunday. This is when we're expecting storms. So we've got the jet stream, and then see how it's kind of flaring out like that. That diffluence. That will serve as a mechanism for forcing for rising motion. So the models could very well be underdoing Sunday, is what we're trying to convey here. So I do think that this risk will be altered. Right now, we're just barely in the marginal. I think they'll probably push that slight risk down into maybe northern Washington County. Just reading the comments right now, so. Okay, so if you're in Rogers, early afternoon, no. Tomorrow in Rogers, early afternoon, you're fine. It's looking more like overnight type deal. Yeah, Morgan. So I do think that's, the bullseye, for these storms is going to be in our northern counties tomorrow night. So P Ridge definitely has to be weather aware tomorrow night. Theodore, yes, we've been going over that. Here's Saturday. I think Saturday is more overnight, Sunday, late morning, and then late afternoon. Yeah, see, I think it's Brandon. I think it's going to be an overnight deal tomorrow. But who knows? All this could miss us to our north. Like we said, the models do not handle the energy well. Whoa! All right, everybody. I am like 15 minutes behind the comments. So if your comment isn't being read, just bear with me here. Lisa, we do need rain in Bella Vista. Yeah, yeah. I had the AC on, and I got the ceiling fan on too. Oh yeah, we do need the rain. As everybody's seen the drought monitor, gotta load it back up. Hold on. Stand by. So we really need the rain here. And we had some earlier this morning. But here's the drought. So we're up in the. Oh, sorry about that. All right. Benton County now has a D2 severe drought. And I definitely think that this will be going down, especially next week. Yeah, I think so too, Bradley. Yeah, yeah, we can look at some products. Yeah, I think they might shift the enhance a little bit further west too. Let's look at the energy helicity index. So this is kind of a measure of the amount of spin in the atmosphere as well as taking into account some instability factors. So let me open this up and zoom in. Look at tomorrow night. Yeah, there will be shear, there will be instability tomorrow night. But let's see Sunday afternoon. Yeah, definitely the dynamics will be there. Brendan, um, see, I would never say an event is going to be a bust because we just don't know. And severe weather is so localized. Um, if you have severe weather, let's just say, in one part of the coverage area, and then another part of the coverage area is completely dry, then it's a bust for the people who got nothing. So I do think that this weekend, especially tomorrow night, is going to be one of those where potential to be coverage wise low but high impacts. Brian, do you mean for tomorrow nights or for Sunday? Well, it's zonal flow, Edward. So yeah, they're pretty quick hitters. So we're far out, Isaac. Next Saturday, please stay dry. Um, well, I can show you real quick here what we're looking at. This is a ways away, but I think there might be some precipitation. So we're still in that southwest flow. Saturday, yeah, there's energy coming through. And let me show you the future track for Saturday. Oh, yeah, it's showing rain, but that's over a week away, so that could easily change. Okay, well, Diana, that threat is there. I wouldn't call it a big risk, but the models are not handling this system well. Just very subtle energy, and it's the small things that sometimes make the big things happen. For Sunday, that is. Sorry, Bradley. I totally forget what we were even talking about for Sunday. But Sunday, we're thinking late morning storms, and then once again in the later afternoon hours. Um, I don't think so. Well, maybe our eastern fringes of Northwest Arkansas. Okay, Kimberly. So we're thinking Pea Ridge, Arkansas. So tomorrow night, that could be a deal, especially in um, northern Benton County. And then once again, late Saturday morning, and it just jumped. All the comments just jumps. I don't know why it does that. So now I have to go back, scroll back up. Um, but so 3 time frames: tomorrow night, then late morning Sunday, and then in the afternoon Sunday. So let me go way back up. I found it. Well, we're actually not in northwest flow. It's kind of zonal flow. And like we say, you got to know northwest flow, but it's oh no, southwest flow. And that's kind of what we're going into for next week. So this zonal flow sets up, and the models do not handle it well. Subtle energy moving in, instability will be there. The wind shear is there. Severe weather possible this weekend, and then next week is oh no, southwest flow. That's why next week I think is looking very active. Yeah, words of wisdom, Bradley. Yeah, yeah. Try and not worry, but have a plan in place, and just be prepared. So be aware, be weather aware this weekend, and we'll keep you up to date with these storms on social media, on TV, and if you have the app, it really is a great app. It's your Weather Authority app. You can download it and get updates on all the latest. All right. You're right, Brendan. Yeah, when I was looking at that model, I forgot. But yeah, yeah, that was a heartbreaking loss. It really was. Okay, Ava, do you expect the severe risk to shift a bit left at all between now and Sunday? I think it will. I think Sunday it will shift a little bit left, but first of all, we do have two severe storm risks here. I think this one will shift southeast, and I think that this one will shift a little bit left. Sunday nights looks quiet. It's going to be Sunday afternoon, early evening. It's a Davin. It's quiet right now. Tonight, we're not expecting storms, but tomorrow night and again Sunday, I think we have multiple chances for severe weather. Yeah, Sunday afternoon is tricky. I do think the storms will be forming over us. So I think discrete supercells will be a possibility, mainly in our eastern counties, but maybe late Sunday morning too. Yeah, definitely damaging winds will be a possibility. And here's a graphic for you. Here's the day 3 probabilistic risk. The hatched area, that means significant severe weather. So we're talking very large hail, 2 inches in diameter and greater, strong tornadoes, EF2 to EF5, and intense damaging winds, hurricane force 74 miles per hour and greater, all possible in the hatched area. And so the best chance for these storms is further east, but we're definitely still in the risk. So Sunday, a couple of rounds are possible. So here's a future track. Here's Sunday morning, 9 a.m. I think the day will start quiet. Well, depending on when your day starts, I think 2 o'clock in the morning, there might be some activity. It's just a very active pattern. So here's 2 a.m. Storms in northwest Arkansas, potentially severe. Little break in the action. It's just a model, but this is what it shows. A little break in the action in the morning, late morning. I think some cells could fire up, and then late afternoon. Notice how they're kind of on our eastern fringes, moving out of the area, but I wouldn't be surprised if this whole thing slowed down and they set up a little bit further west. But central Arkansas, that could be a big deal. All right, just reading comments. Oh, your birthday's on Wednesday? Yeah. Wednesday looks like a big like could be a bad deal. Madison County, potentially, we can see these storms firing up, you know. This model might be a little bit east of Madison County, but I do think that the trend is a little bit further west. So yeah, I'll be in here tomorrow early and update the weather blog. Okay, so the tornado chances. So I'll show you the day two tornado. So this has it clipping the forecast area, but I do think this is underdone, and I'll show you why. All right, very low for tomorrow night, but looking at the latest, here's a graphic. Here's this is the maximum updraft helicity. So the probability of a updraft to spin, or the potential for one to spin. And the higher or the, you know, you see the scale, the strong, that is the stronger the spin in the atmosphere. And this is one of the things we look at for potential tornadoes. And 2 a.m. that looks to be northwest of us in Kansas, but I wouldn't be surprised if that went a little further south into the coverage area. So I do think that they will expand that tornado outlook in more into northwest Arkansas. Yeah, Brendan. I mean, there seems to be a lot of instability. We'll have to see if there's any convective inhibition. Um, and definitely the wind shear is there. The forcing is there. We have that front coming in. And I do think the atmosphere will destabilize. I think a lot of the models might be underdoing the temperatures for the afternoon, so the instability might be underdone. I think Sunday afternoon could be an issue. I think by late evening. Yeah, Scott, I think it's a possibility. So we can see those tracks kind of starting to form over us, but mainly east of us. We'll have to wait and see. All right, just reading comments. I'm almost caught up here, and it's about to be midnight. Yes, I'm going to have to wrap this up shortly because I still have some work to do here tonight, and then the weekend is going to be It's going to be a long time, and I have to go home and do some cooking too. So just nonstop. It's been a long day, and I appreciate everybody for being on here. All right, here's a comment. Let me see if I can answer this. Travis, how often do you find the prediction becoming less accurate? Do you give the risk factor for prediction, and the closer it gets to the time frame, then you know more? So we don't make these maps. So this is the Storm Prediction Center. They're some of the best forecasters in the world here in Oklahoma, doing these charts here. So we don't make these. Talking about the computer models, have they been getting less accurate and less accurate? I mean, it might just be us just thinking that they are, but I wouldn't be surprised if they are, because I think they're, um, decreasing the amount of weather balloon launches they're doing, and for some National Weather Service offices. And if that is the case, then there's less data being fed into these models, and it would make them less accurate if my understanding is correct on what's going on behind the scenes. Because these computer models, a lot goes into them on how you make them. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, um, Travis. But thank you for that comment. Okay, so Ava, I will have to be outside partially from 8 to 2 on Wednesday for class. Is that mostly the time that storms will start? See, timing it is so far out, Ava. I do think Wednesday afternoon we could be seeing storms, but we'll definitely do more lives, Ava, and can keep you updated. Yeah, see, Jerry, this model has storms firing up in River Valley area. See? So just because Ace Triple R didn't show storms, it doesn't mean you're quite in the clear. Good morning, 12:02. Oh, you're good, Travis. Yeah, totally get it. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. Let me see. It's about that time. It would be the day one now that we're looking at. So stand by. Nope. That would be a negative. But any minute now, they'll probably send an update. Yeah, April, I'm just giving a preliminary updates about the weekend forecast because there's a lot of uncertainty, multiple chances for storms coming up here. No storms right now, but tomorrow night. So, or actually tonight, because it is already Saturday. So 2, 3 o'clock in the morning Sunday, maybe late morning Sunday, and then late afternoon Sunday. All right. Well, I think I got caught up on all the comments here. So 7-day forecast. This looks active. So there's the weekend, tomorrow night and Sunday. And then as we start April, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all have a chance for storms. So as we start April, we need to stay weather aware. But until then, if they are aren't any more questions, I think I'm going to say goodnight because I have to do some more work here tonight, and then tomorrow is going to be a long day. But until then, appreciate the comments, and we'll keep you up to date with all the latest happenings as we go forward in time. So have a good night and stay safe.